In 2009, a team of neuroscientists put people in an MRI scanner and had them read about other people's success, better careers, better luck, and more money. And in scan after scan, the same region lit up every time, the part of the brain that processes physical pain. Watching someone else succeed didn't just feel bad. Your brain treated it like an injury, a documented finding, not a metaphor. And it explains something almost nobody questions, why some people's wins bother you far more than others. But the strangest part isn't that it hurts, it's who it hurts you to watch. Imagine two people. One is a billionaire, the other started their career the same year you did. Who bothers you more? For most people, it's not even close. The billionaire almost feels like a different species, but the coworker, the old classmate, the creator with just a few more subscribers, they're different. They feel close enough that your brain quietly whispers, "That could have been me." That's the real beginning of envy. Your imagined alternative life, not someone else's success. It rarely shows up as, "I want what they have." It shows up quieter than that, a private tally of who's ahead, who's behind, and where you'd be if things had gone differently. The tally feels like information. It's actually a distraction. Every minute spent running it is a minute not spent on the one path that's actually yours to walk. And Seneca had already named exactly why. Seneca wasn't some ascetic lecturing from a cave. He was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, a tutor and advisor to an emperor, surrounded by more status and privilege than almost anyone alive. And even he kept circling back to this same warning, letter after letter to a friend named Lucilius. He noticed something almost everyone misses. When we compare ourselves, we almost never compare ourselves fairly. We don't compare ourselves with everyone. We compare ourselves with one person, usually the one just ahead of us. The promotion, the recognition, the relationship, the house, the body, the audience. One person becomes the measuring stick for our entire life. Then Seneca writes something remarkable. When you see many ahead of you, think how many are behind. At first, that sounds like simple gratitude, but I don't think that's what he's doing. I think he's exposing a flaw in the way our attention works. Because the problem isn't really the other person. The problem is that your mind has zoomed in so tightly, it mistakes one comparison for reality. Modern psychology would eventually give that mistake a name. In the 1950s, a psychologist named Leon Festinger was studying how people judge themselves, proposed something surprisingly simple. When people don't have an objective way to measure themselves, they look sideways. They compare. Not with everyone, but with people like themselves. That's the important part. We don't compare ourselves to strangers, we compare ourselves to people who feel like alternate versions of us. Like that coworker, that old classmate, that creator with a few more subscribers than you. They're close enough that their success feels personal. And that's exactly where the pain begins. But that MRI finding from the opening of the video wasn't the whole story. The researchers found something even stranger when they kept watching. The study was led by neuroscientist Hideko Takahashi and published in the Journal of Science. It only took 19 participants to find the effect, and it's been replicated since. When the target person's success felt personally relevant, that pain processing region, the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, lit up harder. The more personally relevant the comparison felt, the stronger that reaction. Then came the twist. When that same successful person later experienced a setback, a different region activated. The ventral striatum, the brain's reward center. That's the same one that responds to food, to money, and to winning. Watching someone succeed registered as an injury, while watching them fail registered as a reward. Neither person did anything to the other. Somewhere along the way, comparison had quietly turned another life into a scoreboard. Suddenly, Seneca doesn't seem so ancient anymore. But Seneca wasn't the only one who discovered the cure. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful word, mudita. It means finding genuine joy in someone else's happiness, A joy that doesn't come easily, but it is exactly what frees you from the comparison in the first place. The Bhagavad Gita arrives at almost the same place from a story with nothing else in common and from someone in a much worse spot than any of us watching a coworker get promoted. Arjuna is standing in the middle of a war he doesn't want to fight, facing his own family across the battlefield. And even there, in that moment, his mind still drifts sideways to the paths he could have taken instead of the one in front of him. Krishna's response is this: better to live your own path imperfectly than someone else's perfectly. A Buddhist teaching and a Sanskrit epic that never spoke to each other end up warning against the same exact thing. Comparison doesn't just steal peace. It can make you abandon your own life while chasing someone else's. So what do all three traditions ask us to practice? Comparison isn't going away, and pretending otherwise won't help. What actually helps is this: notice the moment your attention locks onto one person. Then ask yourself, what story am I telling about their success? Because the thing that actually is hurting you isn't what happened to them. It's the story you just told yourself about it. There's one more distinction worth knowing here. Aristotle actually split this feeling into two. He called one thonos, which is pain at someone else's good fortune paired with wanting them to lose it. He called the other zelos, the same sting but paired with wanting to reach it yourself, not to see the other person stripped of it. Same spark sets off both, and from there they point in opposite directions, which makes what comes next a little strange. The word for the healthy one, zelos, is where our word jealous actually comes from. It traveled through Latin into French into Spanish as celos with a C, into English as jealous and zealous. And somewhere on that journey, the meaning drifted. The word for the constructive reaction slowly became our word for the corrosive one. The two got confused in language the same way they get confused in us, which might be exactly why we need Aristotle's distinction back. So when that sting hits, are you quietly hoping they lose it? Or are you already imagining how you'd get there too? That's the one part of this feeling that's actually yours to choose. And then you can gently return to your work, your relationships, your purpose, and your path. Maybe that's why comparison feels so convincing. It isn't really showing you another person's life. It's showing you a story about your own. And stories can be rewritten. The next time someone else's success makes your own life suddenly feel smaller, remember what Seneca, the Buddha, and Krishna all understood. Someone else being ahead is never the problem. Losing sight of your path is. And attention is something you can choose. If you've ever left something, a job, a relationship, a path, because comparison convinced you it was the wrong one, share it in the comments. Let's start a conversation. If this idea of chasing someone else's life instead of your own hit close to home, I made a video about the prodigal son's older brother, the one who stayed, did everything right, and still couldn't stand watching his brother get celebrated for coming back. Same wound, different story. I'll post it in the description. You can watch it next here. I post new videos on ancient wisdom every week. Consider subscribing if you don't want to miss the next one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.